in the forest, can you see this? But nothing beats the moment you see that.
Cool!
That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You are tuned in to BeExposedRadio.com.
So we were talking about critical thinking. So we definitely believe that critical thinking is one of the first things we need to start implementing, not just simply being told things. Or how about this? You know, we tend to listen to people who get assigned certain positions.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? So when they have certain positions, we tend to think that it's truth attached to that because of their position, right?
Right.
Is that always the case, though?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
It's probably one of the biggest reasons we should be doing some critical thinking.
Yes, I agree. I definitely.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, what's up, and welcome to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate Couser. I haven't been here in probably like maybe 3 shows. Today, we don't have young people here with us today. They'll be back next week. But I am here, and Mondays are dedicated to supporting business owners, entrepreneurs. So if you are an entrepreneur or business owner, hit me up. The Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com. Or you can hit me up on Instagram. You can direct message me, or on Facebook. On both of our pages, we have a group called the Artist Exchange. It'll be published probably by the end of this week for entrepreneurs, specifically to promote what you do. If you notice some of businesses, shows, events, some of the things that aren't necessarily this group, and I don't normally accept it. One, because that's dedicated to specifically artists, but we do have an Artist Exchange for Entrepreneurs page coming up soon for Facebook, and we'll be helping support and market businesses on that page. If you haven't already, please follow us on Instagram, Facebook. I use it a bit, but mainly Instagram and Facebook to communicate with people at large. So if you want to be a guest on the show, our show comes on every Monday and Friday, p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. So for this first segment, I just want to touch on the topic for today, which is self-care. I'm going to share a little bit about what happened to me in the last couple of weeks, because I have not been practicing my routine of self-care. So we're going to go through 12 steps to kind of help us get back on track. And it's something that I've had time for the last week and a half or so to kind of look at and think about. And it's really important that we do take care of our mind, body, and spirit. I posted an article on the Artist Exchange page, so you might want to check that out, the Artist Exchange Radio Show page. And it gives the same 12 steps that I'm going to go through today. I read this article while actually lying in a hospital bed, not last weekend, but the week before last. And then this weekend, I had to do a hard stop on everything that I was doing, because even though I read this 2 weekends ago, I didn't really put it into practice. I was released on a Sunday, and I came right to work on that Monday, and being as though I own my own business and I kind of work for myself, I have a couple different places that I do work through, and I went right back into it, and I kind of compiled things, and came Friday, my body just slowly shut itself down. So on Sunday, I slept. I was supposed to go back to work, and I didn't go back to work. I slept through an entire half day, and I really have never done that like before. I don't sleep that much. and I ended up sleeping in the whole weekend, and that's not my norm. I feel healthy doing that, but my body needed to like shut itself down to restart. So we want to go through some of those processes and get some insight on where we are with this self-care. I also want to go through some things that I did this weekend. Hey, what's up, cousin? Wanda, Mr. Hakeem. Right. So I want to go through some things that happened for the last week. So last week was Baltimore Fashion Week. I want to say not this Friday past, but the Friday before. Sharon Nixon came on, and Brother Noah was here. But Brother Noah is actually doing a show for the month, so you won't see him as much, maybe a couple times. But his show is actually running. I'll post the dates of his show after I get off today. So Baltimore Fashion Week started last Monday and it ran to this Sunday. Every day there was something different. They had two phenomenal runway shows that kind of demonstrated. We had 10 designers that showcased both Saturday and Sunday, and they were phenomenal designers. I got to meet a couple of them throughout the week. And some of them who are returning this year. Baltimore Fashion Week, if you don't know, comes every August at the same time. And the fashion umbrella, which is Baltimore Fashion Week, falls under, seeks to educate. And myself, in the next couple of weeks after she's kind of calming down for this one, before we go to New York Fashion Week, and talking about some ways where we can further educate people in not just fashion, but just professionalism, being an entrepreneur, being a consumer of the things that's going on. Baltimore has gotten a lot of flack in the last couple of weeks from our esteemed president, and we've gotten a light that isn't a new light on us, but it's just been shined around the world because of the person who made the comments. But because we go through so much, because we have so much already on our shoulders negatively, we have to begin to support what is going on in the city. We had two really big events this weekend, Baltimore Fashion Week and AFRAM, and they both were under-attended. And we complain a lot about Baltimore not having certain things and not giving us certain things, but yet we have these things in our city, these things that not only seek to entertain us, but educate us and give us a sense of who we are, and we pass it over for the same BS. Going out to clubs and you know, there was concerts downtown. I saw some of the numbers were still lower. A lot of businesses are starting to close downtown because we aren't supporting our own. And not just being a negative thing. There are a lot of good things that are going on, but we have to begin to support our city. Let's stop trying to every weekend go up to DC or Philly or New York and support their economy. Let's try to put that back into our own. We have a lot of art pockets in the city that are doing really phenomenal things, and I support Sharon in the way that I do because, you know, our city doesn't have that, and when we do have it, it's really exclusive or it's not really up to a certain standard of professionalism. So support our own. If you haven't already heard of Baltimore Fashion Week, look it up. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that at the end. Hopefully Sharon will call in, but we have a couple highlights, a little recap that we're gonna do also. So we have Baltimore Fashion Week. Also, if you don't know, I work with the Peel Center right at 225 Holiday Street. I help produce a number of their storytelling platforms, and one interesting one that is coming up is actually the mashup. We awarded 3 groups at the beginning of the summer. End of the spring, we awarded 3 groups 3 micro grants of $1,500, and the point of the mashup micro grant was in part a brainchild of the Deutsch Foundation. They wanted to help kind of rejuvenize our audiences in the city, and we notice when there's a black event, black people come. When there's a white event, white people come. And there's some crossover, but not enough to really support what we're all doing. There's enough people to come out to our events, but for some reason, people aren't coming, or they're only coming to certain types of events. So we wanted to open up that market and open up that door to helping people to come in the door. So one of the ideas that I came up with was the mashup grant. We did, at the beginning of the year, we did a workshop series where we, for mainly like a half a day, we had a number of people come. We had a number of facilitators, and they all dealt with different aspects of storytelling, building audiences, creating diverse content, including including individuals in the process. And you got to go around to all the different workshops and kind of take part and kind of learn some things about just the business of being an artist, as well as, you know, some self-care, some legal aspects, and how to tell stories, how to cultivate stories, content, and so on and so forth. And in that workshop series that we facilitated, we announced the micro grant for the mashup series, and it will be opening up actually this Thursday. You'll be able to see 2 of the 3 mashup recipients, their work be presented in a micro way, and then on the 18th you'll see a full performance of them. But on this Thursday at the Peel Center, starting at 7 o'clock, doors open up at 7, we'll actually have a number of performances, a number of talks. So you'll see 2 exhibits from 2 of our mashup grantees, and then you'll be able to sit down and talk in a small micro conversation on the third group's project. They're doing a film, so that took a little bit more time, so we're giving them a little bit more time to complete that. So we're actually going to take a quick commercial break, and I'll be back with some more highlights and some interesting things that happened over the last 2 weeks. So don't go anywhere. The Artist Exchange Radio Show only on BigExposedRadio.com.
Long live Pop. Y'all can go ahead and cry now. I'ma show these niggas what to do with one of your beats, man. I am Gas, by the way. Strong woman story should have been on CNN. Nobody knows what it's like being Gwen. Windows closed in the house, it ain't no CNN. Can't gain weight for years, she been being thin. Single mother, no help from the system. When they was giving out food stamps, she missed them. Birth certificate, baby daddy, she couldn't list them. But her son was so beautiful when she kissed him. Blame it on love, but nigga she could've died with. Destroyed the whole world and found out she was a side chick. The nigga loved his wife and it got hard to hide it. So when Gwen confronted him, he ain't even denied it. Her fault, depends on who you asking. She tried to be a stripper, but the tip out was taxing. Buying all the purses, trying to keep up with the fashion. And her mama hated babysitting with a passion. She deserved better circumstances. A black queen, she should've been blessed with certain chances. Looked down upon, getting all the hurting glances. Making men change up all the twerking stances. She never cried about the pain, only gritted her teeth. But most soldiers never get a flower or a wreath. She like G.I. Jane in the war with no relief. Don't recognize why killers was going through her beef. She said more prayers than the nun did. After seeing so much struggles with only one kid, the clinic said baby number 2 couldn't be undid. 9 months later, delivery and it's one big. But this time it was an older dude. But the shit happened so fast, she barely know the dude. Damn, but we all make mistakes though. And the older we get, that's how mistakes go. So he claimed the baby, now with no money. He said shit was hard and his dollars was kinda funny. Real was feeling like that was strike 2. So when it rains and pours, that's just how life do. She was thinking about her childhood and how life flew. Her daddy she always loved, but she never quite knew. This was before the bags and the cellulite glue. Other bitches in her shoe, no telling what they might do. You lose a lot of friends, they start to despite you. Passing judgment when they don't got the right to. And even though I love the gangsters, the same for the gangsters. I remember you no matter how big the fame gets. Paint a perfect picture, baby you can frame this. As long as I'm snapping, you will never be nameless. While I was
like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You're gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like, yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. Feel me? So no matter what you up to, just go hard. Don't let it. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, it's cause my father dead. Mom's bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke because your mother was a crackhead. Older sister hoeing off, giving all the homies head. I could wait for your
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story, adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away
Just a
at
Good Outside Crew
theshelterpetproject.org.
every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on beexposedradio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run. The game before, or the last game that they lost before the Royals was the Nationals, and it was Weeders, of course, won with a home run.
Hit the home run.
Right.
They were going into that National Series. It seemed like they were doing so well, and they just crapped out. They got that game postponed, so who knows when they're going to replay that or play that game. That's my first not for the night.
Okay.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. I'm your host, Nate Couser. So yeah, getting back to the week. So again, the mashup grant opens up. Well, it didn't open up. The mashup exhibit will be opening up on the 15th. It will coincide with the Peel Center's annual Founders Day celebration. So there'll be from floor to ceiling, from ground level to the roof, events, showcases, exhibits. We still have the Adam Stab exhibit going on, and we'll have a special presentation from him and his group on that day as well. So a number of things going on, but most importantly, the mashup grant. We have 3 different groups get together, and these people didn't know each other prior to. We matched them up anonymously. People who would kind of complement each other but came from different walks of life that wouldn't normally collaborate together. And we found out some of them had thought about working with each other but didn't know how to get in contact, and this group kind of matched them up together. And it was really profound seeing how they work things out. Some things weren't as smooth as other things, but it definitely was beneficial to everybody involved. So again, that's this Thursday at 7 p.m. at the Peel Center, 225 Holiday Street. Doors will open up. We'll have regular hours starting from 4 until 7, and then the events will pursue after that. So you can come early and kind of take a look around and get to know the staff and such, but come on by. The last thing was, I work with a group called LTYC, Leaders of Tomorrow Youth Center, and it's a group that places teaching artists in schools and places where we can mentor and support art education, and I'm one of the instructors. So look out. I have a flyer, but I'll bring that back in when I go to the next break and give some information. They have a monthly open mic series, and they also have a happy hour series that's once a month, and I'll give you that information as well. So I gave you information on all that. So I'll jump right into our self-care segment, and then on the next segment we actually have a clip that kind of will give us some insight on self-care. But so my story started not last week, the week before. I wasn't really feeling good, and I have seasonal allergies and sinus problems that affect me all the time. And it wasn't until maybe like sometime last year that I was actually told that I had some issues with my tonsils, and I just didn't, you know, they wasn't a big deal. It would go away, but this time it came back and it was really bad, and I couldn't hardly, my breathing was slowed down, and I couldn't swallow, I couldn't spit, I couldn't get any, so I had all this mucus piled up, and I couldn't really talk. And I put it off literally for 2 days. I had a doctor's appointment that Thursday, and I was supposed to go in. So I was like, if I can hold off for 2 days. I didn't make it. I actually overslept. So I had to sit in the lobby, and I didn't feel like doing that. Long story short, I ended up in the emergency room thinking they were going to give me maybe some medicine, help with the pain, and, you know, kind of drowsing me out and flush out my sinuses. It didn't happen that way. I went in at 4 o'clock on a Friday, and they ended up keeping me until that Sunday. Now, if you know me, I don't normally get sick. I normally have voice issues because I talk a lot throughout the day, and all my jobs I'm having to talk or perform, so that's always been a current issue, and I have sinus issues. That's it. I don't get sick any other time. So for me to be in a hospital was detrimental. Like, I thought life was about to end at that point. But all of this culminated with me not sleeping well, me not eating well, me not just taking care of myself like I normally do. Because I work with children and the public, I normally am a germaphobe for the most part. But I had got a little lax on it, on just the daily routine of what I do. And how I eat certain things to kind of prevent sickness or colds or anything like that. And sleep was the biggest one because I have been putting more on my plate. And it's not hard for me to say no to people, but as an entrepreneur, we're taught we gotta work, we gotta grind. If you don't work, you don't eat. And that's a mantra that I've kind of put in my head. I work really late hours, I get up really early. I work in like 2 or 3 different places, so in one day I could do maybe like 4 things, and that actually happened this Saturday. I got up early, I had to run some errands, I had to go to a meeting with my LTYC group, and then from that I had to go all the way out Dundalk and capture some stories, record some stories from a few of the Bethlehem Steel retirees out Dundalk, and it was like bam, 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 and then I went to my next job, which was at the Peel. And I wound up not even working that whole shift, and I tried to go help out with Baltimore Fashion Week. Ended up falling asleep. I went back home just to freshen up, to go back to my last job back at the Peel, and I ended up falling asleep, and I didn't wake back up until this was Saturday, so I probably didn't wake up until I want to say like 4 or 5 o'clock on Sunday. I had slept through almost an entire day. And I didn't know how to like wake myself up. So I'd wind up just taking a shower when I got up and laying back down. I didn't eat anything, and I just slept it through. And it was really difficult for me to manage because my body felt like it was shutting down. So today I went to a herbalist, and we kind of had a conversation on how I can kind of rejuvenate my body and get back to a more comfortable me where I can get healthier and and kind of manage my meals and kind of manage my time. And it was just about making a schedule. So for most of the day, I've been in my office, just kind of catching up on what I had missed and kind of making a strategy for the next couple of days to kind of knock down a lot of that work so I can get caught back up and not just jump back into work without working on me, even though I did get enough sleep and rest this weekend. And that's what happened when I was released. I was released late on Sunday of last week, and I managed to get a couple hours of sleep. I woke up really early Monday and jumped right back into the routine, and I didn't skip a beat, and I was starting to feel better, so I thought I could do a little bit more. But by the time this past Saturday, my body was back to where it was the week before. So we're going to get a little bit into it. I think the first clip that we're going to show you is some self-help on self-care. And then we're going to come back after that segment and get back into the conversation. So don't go anywhere. The Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on Be Exposed Radio. Don't forget to like us on Facebook and Instagram at The Artist Exchange. And also, if you want to be a guest, if you want to be featured on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, we come on every Monday and Friday, 5 p.m. to 7 p.m., 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every Monday and Friday, here only on Be Exposed Radio. You can email us at theartistexchangeradioshow@gmail.com, and we'll book you on. So we'll be right back. The Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. So deeply wounded, but don't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. So you just sit there and you suffer in silence. Your pride won't let you just uncover your secret. Don't wanna look weak in your image, it ain't worth losing. So you just act as if it's nothing happening. God sees you, and God hears you. Yes, God loves you. You're like an internal bleeder. Can't see your pain, but it can silently kill ya. Suicidal, depressed, but you won't say a thing. Too afraid of what the people may say or think. You feel alone even though the people surround you. Popping pills every night even though you know they can't solve it. The emotional pain.
We're rewarding you for something you already do, listening to us. It's radio loyalty, and it's an easy way for you to get free stuff. All you do is sign up. Go ahead and click the banner now. You'll earn points as you listen. Points you can trade in for great products and services in the Radio Loyalty store. You can earn even more points when you share your favorite station with friends on Facebook and Twitter. Radio Loyalty. It's free to sign up, so click the banner to join now.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
When the producers called and asked me to do a TEDx talk, I thought to myself, Christ, I don't even have an undergraduate degree yet. I was overwhelmed with this feeling that I am utterly unqualified to be talking to the world in this way. But that's stupid because I am totally qualified. And that gets into what my talk is about today, the power of self-love and self-esteem. Because there are things I know to be true, like if I could talk to my 15-year-old self, Hover above that girl child and whisper her sentiments from my crystalline future. If I could one day master the art of time travel, I would first bestow upon myself the privilege of getting to know myself. At 15 years old, I would say, hey, I really liked that time you wrote me that poem about roses, which was really about domestic violence and all that honesty you mustered up from the mustard seed in your guts, moving mountains and whatnot, with all that courage. And I really liked that time we drew our mother a son on Mother's Day, even though she'd been dead 3 years by then. I really have a lot of respect for you. Smile senseless, ponytail reckless, heart 2-karat gold. Even when the world tried to spin us 3 shades of gray, you were all that in a bag of chips. Like the Utz lady who would sit up there on a billboard in Baltimore with her hand buried in a bag of chips, getting proposed to by a stick man with one eye. If I could go back there, I would go back there and tell her the 5 years approaching will require our soul grow Hulk-like. We're gonna get bored, get really depressed, love ourselves, buckle down, get buck, love men whose hands disappear like Michael Jackson, and remember the time. Remember the time? That was crazy. If I could vibrate the jail cells in my skin cells to a frequency so quick I slipped back into 2010, I'd say again, I really have a lot of respect for you. Swiftness. 'Cause time waits for no colored girl. Deadlines approach quick like freight trains, and you always on time. I'd spit myself pickup lines from the sky so that she knew someone wanted her, but she wouldn't know why. Like, hey girl, do you live in a cornfield? 'Cause I'm stalking you. Or did you read Dr. Seuss as a kid? Because green eggs and damn, ain't no soulmating like when you come back to save you. Scoop you, soup whispers blessings into your sweet aura. This poem isn't about flattery. It is about recognition. I see you smiling at black men on corners because you know the world owes them 400 years of jubilation. I see you, teeth like reformation, gleaming. No fool's gold, just struggle that decided to not kill itself, yet move on and perhaps become God. Girl, I see you in the corner of the F train stunting. Bad butterbone, Bengay and beneficence. I wish on you like Harriet's Polaris. I wish on you like, let's cause the evolution of the entire human race. You'll open 1 million middle schools and feel all the cool you didn't at 15. Thank you. I am a national award-winning performance poet and author from Baltimore and Shaker right now, and I know it is because I practice this thing called radical self-love. What is radical self-love? Well, to Sonia Renee Taylor and her organization, The Body is Not an Apology, radical self-love is the lifelong commitment to the belief that your body, size, race, sexual orientation are assets that don't need fixing, yet are advantages that you should build your life around and capitalize on. And to me, it's all of those things, but it's also looking in the mirror once a week and saying, I am the most important person in the world to me. I accept that person, I admire that person, and I will do everything in my power to see that person's dreams come true. And it sounds simple, but ask yourself, when's the last time you said it? Can you say it? I've worked with performers who, before working with me, couldn't even look themselves in the mirror, dodging their own reflections. And why was it so hard? Why is it hard to say these things to ourselves? Well, simply, it is because we don't believe it. It's a gross generalization, but I will say it that today, as Americans, the people in this room, most people sitting in these chairs, do not believe in themselves. to be grander than anything we are today. We're not dreaming up a future where we are powerful, more peaceful, more happy. We think it's not for us, and that is a problem. This is my mom. She died when I was 14 from alcoholism. I moved to Shaker, 10th grade, and I developed an eating disorder, binge eating. And when I asked myself, how did I get through all of that, a successful person? It is literally because through it all, I had this conception in my mind that I was good enough. I was cool. My entire being was God's hot topic, and anyone who didn't agree with that was whack. You were irrelevant to me if you didn't think that I was good enough. And when you do that, when you look the world in the face like you have a right to be here, you have attacked the entire power structure of the Western world. And they will call you egotistical, but it is a lie. They're wrong. Keeping that voice alive saved my life because it inspired curiosity about myself. And how could I not succeed when I was curious about my purpose and my limits? And that is the formula. If your kids are failing, it is because you are spending too much time pressing the outside world into them instead of pushing what is inside of them to the outside world, and they can feel that. And they don't like that. Can I write a book? Can I do a TED Talk? Can I go to college? Once you act on radical self-love and self-esteem, these questions quickly become statements. I can write a book. I did that when I was 19. I can do a TED Talk. I'm kind of doing that today. I can do these things. I can survive depression. I did that yesterday. But people will never begin to ask themselves these questions if they don't even care about themselves. Well, what does caring about yourself mean? As a student, it means knowing deep down in your heart that you are more important than any assignment your teacher can give you. And that anything your teacher can do for you, you can do for yourself better. And they know that, but you don't, and that's a problem. They know that you have just as much power in the classroom as they do, but you don't, and that's a problem. And as a teacher, what is radical self-love? It is believing deep down in your heart that you are more important than any limitation the administration can put on you. More important meaning you have to make sacrifices to see your vision of what a perfect classroom should look like materialize. You are more important than the restrictions put on you by the state of Ohio to perform. And you have to know that radically, or we are lost. When you do not act on your self-esteem, when you do not act on your self-esteem, you aren't loving yourself. And when you aren't loving yourself, you are failing at life. So here are 4 things you can do to reap the fruits of radical self-love. 1, what's your thing? Find that thing that you can do for hours and lose yourself in that skill that when you're doing it, you feel cool, productive, important, challenged. There's a quote by Howard Thurman. It goes, "Do not ask what the world needs. Ask what makes me come alive, and do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive." So find your thing, do it copious amounts of hours, become the best who has ever done it, and that is a form of self-love too. If you're Black, know your history. Why? Because your Blackness is at the top of the list of the things that the United States has and will continue to use and misconstrue in order to get you to dislike yourself, and that's real. You need to know that there's another way of being in the world, alternative ways of living other than the way you've been living, and if you study Black history, you will know that. Kanye West said, "I make Black history every day. I don't need a month." But it's Black History Month, so I'll do a poem. Mother, may I have a little room to breathe. Meat clings to its hip bones, big bodies and booties and lips and noses. Black culture knows it's different and is very self-conscious. Earned the lowest SAT scores out of all the cultures for the 10th year in a row. Black culture can't get with the program. So black culture says, forget the program. We've been multitasking since conception. Chop the wood, assemble the chariots, swing low, double dutch with double consciousness, you ain't know. Black culture sewed the buttons down Miss Mary Max's back. You better ask somebody, we spiritual like that. Want a candlelight, visual, every day. For 14-year-old body beaten beyond recognition, shot though already dead, and thrown into the Tallahatchie River for a whistle at a white female. Wishes a candlelight visual for Trayvon Martin every day. Troy Davis every day. Mike Brown every day. Tamir Rice every day. We spiritual like that, but lately been lacking leadership. Want our leadership back. El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, Medgar Evers, Dr. King, Michael Jackson. Direct and indirect assassination. Black boys be 77% of the NBA, only 12% of the nation. Black culture bees in the trap and in the White House, all upside Michelle's head, bellowing, "This my jam." So much jamming, pressing, pushing, cramming, squeezing glue between kinky and yucky hair, broke, and can't afford to be sad. So black culture is continuously and contagiously joyous about life. Thank you. Trucking along here. Third step to reap the benefits of radical self-love. Police the people in your head. There's a quote, police the people in your head. There's a quote that goes, if you talk to your friends the way you talk to yourself, they probably wouldn't be your friends anymore. Because our heads are filled with thoughts from other people that we let in and simmer and grow, and it's not true, most of the things, but we let it infest us. We have to start policing the people in our heads. The way I do it is by writing and keeping these writings in my view at all times. This is my dorm room in college. These are things on my wall. You heard it. When I got the call, I thought to myself, I am totally unqualified and I am not good enough. But I had to make the self-love step and say, I am good enough. My voice matters. My life matters. And we all know it's true. I know it's hard to believe, but it is true. And the fourth step is most important, and it's hard to do, but it is, when it's hard to do, the most important to do, and that is give self-love to others. That means when you're here and you hear someone around you say something like, man, I would apply to that, but I would do that, but I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I'm not smart enough. It is your responsibility to say, yo, stop that. You can't say that type of stuff about yourself. This dedication to radical self-love is not just about ourselves. It is about not letting weakness in your circle at any time. Kendrick Lamar, rapper, musical artist, poet, writer, wrote a song and debuted it 6 months ago called I. Has anyone ever heard of I? SNL and Love. I was in Africa when I heard it, died. I want us to read the lyrics of I together. So these are the lyrics. The ones in green are yours, the ones in black are mine. When I point to you, I want you to say your lyrics, okay? Okay, 1, 2, 3. The world is a ghetto with big guns and picket signs. But it can do what it wants whenever it wants. I don't mind. Dreams are reality's piece. I blow steam in the face of the beast. The sky could fall down, the wind could cry now, the strong in me will still smile. That song is so important because it shows that Kendrick knew something was so wrong in his world, which is our world, that he needed to release a song declaring nothing other than, I love myself. That's weird, but it's because he knows there's a direct connection between the condition of the outside world and the condition of our self-esteem. And we know it to be true in the classroom. The kid comes in, isn't curious. The student, teacher comes in and sees the kid isn't curious. They lose their self-esteem and lose faith in the kid. The kid loses self-esteem, and we have a classroom full of stagnation, resentment, and low self-esteem and not learning. And I'm not saying it's your fault. I'm not saying that the world outside is ugly because you have low self-esteem. And if you fix yourself, the world would magically become better. But I am saying a huge part of fixing things is for all of us to get off of our butts and go against the grain. And you cannot muster the power to go against the grain unless you truly believe that that would be powerful. I'm here today to tell you that your voice matters, your life matters, and I know it's hard.
Just a Bit Outside radio show.
There is one glaring stat that I read about while watching the games over the weekend. New York Yankees went 22 straight innings with at least one strikeout.
Really?
That's a major league record for the postseason.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's an interesting statistic.
It is. You know, and then when you think about it, it's like, okay, you know, that, to me, that's like a big reason why, you know, they're losing right now.
First they love you, then desert you, leave with a plate full with no spoon. Ain't no space, I can't escape negativity. I got used to the taste, I've been bad, burned, then fucked over. But remain strong through the Passover. Kicking haters out of the way like masked over. Roll up, sip something, let it pass over. Who would I be? It ain't the man to me that let the next man take advantage of me. When that storm come, don't pan I see. Get with it, not without it, then you'll see. I peep the haters, they know I'm greater. That's why they buzzing for the elevator. But I can't save it, it'll be too loud on the pedal stool. Don't curry favors, always got your hand out demanding favors. When I just looked out, now you need more paper, I can't breathe, give me 3 feet. I never let y'all be the death of me. When my patience run that, yeah, nigga OT, cause they wanna see me down like I'm NCT. 6 words, get the fuck away from me, say I help you out if you can help yourself. I keep it G till I DIE. Now excuse me while I get back to PC. HOP ain't losing sleep while your third eye always on me. I'm stacking green just to feed the team. My boo, she know that I'm king with chasing my dream. These niggas it seems
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, what's up, and welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show here live only on BeExposedRadio.com. The last segment, we watched an awesome young lady who has grown up in this Baltimore area, just doing great things and writing and spoken word and such. And I wanted to play that one because when we hear self-care, we normally think diet, exercise, sleep, but a lot of the things that affect us on a day-to-day basis, from the TV shows we watch to the neighborhoods we live in to the state of just how the city or wherever you live is being run, your circle of people, all those things play a part in your self-care. And I wanted to go over, or start rather, because this segment is a little bit shorter, those 12 steps to self-care. And at the very top of the list is sleep. Sleep is very important. And it's one of the things that we neglect or we cut off first. So I'll get up early or I'll go to bed late. And often together we do those things in conjunction with each other. But often you have to learn how to start saying no to things so you do get the proper amount of sleep, and being honest with your time so people aren't dependent on you. And if they are, they're going to have to get undependent, because we've grown up in a society where we got to say yes to everything, and we're so afraid to say no, and it costs us our health. Without proper sleep, your body is vulnerable to all types of illnesses and sicknesses and disorders, because your body needs to rejuvenate itself. It needs to be still for a few hours at a time. And it's not just sitting still, but you need to really be in a restful spot. So sleep is at the very top of that list. It's number one for self-care. Sleep can have a huge effect on how you feel, both emotionally and physically. Not getting enough can even cause major health issues, but stress and other distractions can wreak havoc on your sleep. So you gotta be good with you. And a lot of the things that are around you, sometimes, like this weekend, I probably made a couple people upset, but I chose my happiness. And I don't like doing hard stops in life, but sometimes we get so caught up in paying bills and being there for people and supporting people that we don't take time for ourselves. And that's the most important thing. Number two on the list is take care of yourself by taking care of your gut. What you eat is very important. I was just watching The Breakfast Club earlier today, and Dr. Sebi's family was on, and they were telling the story of, and if you watch any interviews with Dr. Sebi started out with having, he was kind of in his 30s, 40s, and he started having really bad issues with his health. He had asthma, he was diabetic, he became impotent because of his diabetes, and it was just, once he changed how he was eating, it really drastically changed everything. And ultimately, his health failed him at the end because he began to veer off of that path and do too much. He was helping too many people and not focusing on himself. That sleep thing is a terrible thing. And one of the things for me, diets have been not necessarily difficult, but we forget that a diet, like the clear English definition of diet, is simply what you eat. And I've gotten a lot of things out of my diet, but you know, certain things are hard to get rid of, like ice cream and cheese. Like those things are detrimental to me, because actually last week that was one of the things that was affecting me, like this overabundance of mucus that was flaring up in my system. Top of that with having issues with my tonsils, so I could not get the mucus out. Like I couldn't push it up. My throat had closed in completely and my tonsils were swollen, like really swollen. So certain things we eat, our food isn't fueling us. It is actually destroying us. And I'm not one of the people that's gonna get on this big, point this big ruler at you, because I'm affected by it as well. Like our habits as a culture have really bad food habits. So one of the things that I'm doing now is being more mindful of what I eat, when I eat. Sometimes it ain't even how much you eat, it's the lack of eating that is your problem. So I've always been on a really strange artist diet. So because I get up so early sometimes, and most times skip breakfast and go straight to a heavy lunch, and then I often don't eat again until it's really late, and then your body is holding on to that. You're not really getting rid of any of it, your body's holding on to it. Number three, and this is the part that I'm struggling with, and is exercising on a daily basis. We all know exercise is good for us, but do you really know how good it is? Daily exercise can help you both physically and mentally, boosting your mood and reducing stress and anxiety, not to mention helping you shed extra pounds. And for me, I had to start small, because I have a gym membership, but going to a gym requires time, and you have to sometimes force yourself to make that time. And some of the things that I'm trying to do as a backdrop, and I've seen the effects. And the last time I went to the doctors to this time I went to the doctors, losing a couple pounds, and it's just like I'll choose to walk instead of taking a lift. Thank you. Instead of taking a lift, convenience has really hurt me, and I'll speak about me opposed to speaking about us. But that has been one of the things that has got me, just that physical exercise. So finding ways to get it in without necessarily having to go to a gym is probably good. So number 4 is also eat right, and I'll go to 5. Say no to others and say yes to your self-care. So I'll end on that. We'll come back in the next segment and finish these 12 things to self-care items out. So this has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Please stay tuned, stay locked in, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back here on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Hey, there's my son. You've been in your room all morning.
Hey, Dad.
Matt, what's wrong with your voice?
There is nothing wrong with my voice.
Oh, well, it's just sort of.
I have been playing my video games and electronic games for so many hours.
Uh-huh. Well, it sounds like it might be time for you to take a break, or...
Hello, Dad.
Susan?
I have been watching TV and text messaging all morning. Yay, electronics. Yay, yay, yay.
Guys, I think it's about time to get in the car and take a little trip. Maybe see some trees, some green things.
What are these green things you speak of?
This weekend, unplug. Take your family to the forest. There's nothing in the world like experiencing nature firsthand. Trees, paths, bluebirds, streams. Getting closer to nature can get you closer to your family. To find the forest nearest you, go to discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Get out to the forest and discover the wonders of nature with your family, just like Blue, Jewel, and the whole Rio flock.
Let the kids connect to their roots. It's gonna be so much fun. Yeah! Woo-hoo!
Let's rock this jungle!
Woo!
Fresh air.
What a glorious morning!
Clean water.
Woohoo! This is great!
And endless surprises.
Yo, this is untapped territory.
How amazing!
Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
So when you get to the corner of Smith and Orchard, you're going to want to take a left.
You are not going to
Then what you're going to
believe
do is turn onto
Marcy
Marcy
and Brad
Avenue.
just broke up,
and go past
and
the first
apparently
3
she's
lights,
happy
and then
about
take
it.
the next left.
I don't really
then drive
think
5
she's
more
happy,
blocks,
but
and you should be
who
there.
am I to judge, right?
Park on the
Anyway,
right.
That's
I'll
what
see
I
you
heard
later
last
tonight.
night.
It's hard to concentrate on 2 things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat, and apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable, but how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
So we've started. So can you all introduce yourselves and your role in this production?
So I'm Serena, and I play, my main character is Emma, but it's also multi-rolling, so I play a number of different other characters as well.
I'm Kat, I'm the writer and director of the piece.
And I'm Will, and I play Ollie, and also a lot of other characters. Kate, the DJ at the roller disco.
Oh. So as the writer and director of this piece, can you tell me the origin of it? Like what gave you the inspiration to write it?
So it was actually Serena. Serena had came to see a show that I had written called Belfast Boy at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, and her and another guy called Will.
Not me, Will.
Not this Will. It always feels a bit weird talking about him because it's like, it's dead, but he's not dead.
He's not. He's definitely still alive. He's actually quite, doing quite well.
But, yeah, they asked me would I write something about consent, and that was something that I felt very strongly about at the time. This was in 2015, so slightly ahead of our time, I think, just before Me Too movement. So then we had a wee discussion about it, and we wanted to try and write something that was equal weighted, that didn't favour either party, and something the audience could view and then take away what they think happened, as opposed to like coming up with an answer. So it opens up dialogue and conversations about consent itself.
Have you edited or changed anything since the Me Too explosion?
Not really. I don't think we needed to, because it's about a specific, it follows a night out. So it's the grey area of consent. So I think that we were touching on something that just wasn't spoken about enough, and now it is. And that's the conversations that we try to start with.
Do you have any personal experience with this movement or with the content of this piece? Without getting too personal, but how connected are you with it?
I think that most women would. Because for example, like the going out and getting drunk and having sex is like, I think it's something that most people do. We have a binge drinking culture across the UK and Ireland. Which is quite and I think that whenever you have situations like that, I've definitely been in those situations, and that's why I think that I wrote it the way that I did, especially whenever you black out or you have no memory of it. Because that's where the questions come, that's where the consent issue arises.
Can you describe the two characters and then how they connect with, how your two actors have connected with it, and then that'll take me to the two actors?
Do you think it'd be easier for them?
Well, just if you, that's what I said, if you could connect me to who the characters are, and then they can kind of connect themselves.
Emma, I always think that Emma's like, I tried to make them classless, so I wanted to make them kind of like your friend. It could be anyone, it could be somebody that you know. So I tried to write it with that in mind. So we are, I suppose people would say that Ollie is like a likeable character. I think Emma is likeable as well, but it's just she's in a situation that is magnified for theatre production. And these two guys have really like incorporated that in the characters itself. I think they've done a really good job of getting that across.
So for the gentleman, I'll start with the gentleman in this piece. Can you tell me your name one more time? And your
I will. And my characters, the main character I play is Ollie.
Okay. How have you identified with your character?
Well, I suppose I'd sort of reiterate what Kat says, that he's in some ways the kind of everyman, the likeable friend that you've probably known, who goes out and does something quite misguided and quite stupid. But I always thought what was important for playing the character of Ollie is that he doesn't feel like, at least at the beginning, he doesn't feel like he's done anything wrong.
It's a bad guy.
Yeah, he thinks that there's just been a horrible misunderstanding, and that his actions up until that point were justified. If a little stupid, he doesn't think he misstepped. He thinks that the system of law is sort of up against him. So he's sort of, he's just kind of your everyday guy. Like this can happen to anyone, and that's kind of why I think the writing is so brilliant, is because it leaves it so open and allows you to identify with it as though it would be yourself or just a friend of yours.
It's important to navigate away, I think, as well from the stereotype
Yeah.
of what we think when you talk about the rape, when you talk about the rapist, what they look like and what you associate with that. Because it's not as black and white as what the media would perpetuate, I think. So I think that it's really important to have that everyday in a character.
Yeah, he's not the sweaty guy who runs up to you in the park. He's probably your friend.
Or the ladies' man who's overbearing.
And who's not used to being told no. And there's a million different reasons why it can happen, but it's sort of breaking down those stereotypes and realizing that it can be anyone around you.
So since I call it the explosion of Me Too, because it just allowed everybody who felt like they didn't have a voice to have a voice in this conversation. connecting that with the arts, because it kind of exploded in the arts first. Looking back over your career and as an artist, have you changed how you interact with your female counterparts, and even in this day, your male counterparts? Has it changed how you interact or get to know them for the first time?
I don't really know. I don't think it has a great deal for me.
I think you're quite respectful.
Well, I try to, yeah.
Anyway, I think even now given conversation.
Or rather, are you more mindful? I'll say it that way. Are you more mindful of your interactions now?
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's one of those things that's always been at the forefront of my mind. Like, I've never had experiences of sort of sexual misconduct happen to me, really. But I have a lot of friends who have, and just seeing, like, I think if you're a sensitive person and you realise that there's lots of people around you who are having to put up with some pretty awful things, you should be checking yourself anyway. The Me Too movement brings it to the forefront of your mind in some respect, but I mean, I suppose it's just try and treat people with respect regardless, and it's just it's a healthy reminder to anyone that, like, there are consequences and there should be consequences for the things that people have been doing. Like, my cousin had stuff happen to him during the Me Too movement with Kevin Spacey, and something that everyone knew about.
Yeah,
everyone knew that Kevin Spacey was a predator in the UK. Everyone.
So how do we, and from the guy's perspective, knowing that this is a culture and we kind of just learn how to deal with it, like you keep yourself out of the line of danger until you are in the subject matter. Right. How do you think we could kind of clean up everything that has happened without further sweeping it further under the rug?
That's a very good question. I suppose just maintaining a proper dialogue in the rehearsal room about what is appropriate and what isn't.
Okay.
So, just as an example, like going into audition spaces and things like that, and what you are expected to do in an audition space. For example, if there's a kiss, just making sure that you have a little dialogue beforehand that, right, is everyone okay with this, are we all on board, or act like, I mean, the touching, things like that. So Serena knows someone, I think you can work
there's a new movement starting in the UK that's basically an intimacy coach. So there's this lady called Lisa O'Brien, who is basically going in, so she's saying, in stage when we have a fight, we always have a fight coach, we have a dance, we have a choreographer, but for intimacy, we just go, and it's like, and if you're just going, that's just you.
And you don't know how this person normally kissed, and you don't know how that person
Exactly, but basically, so what, essentially, if it is just go, then it's you, if it's me, Serena, it's me kissing as Serena, rather than talking about, like, your cat, like, and so the workshop is basically, you literally go through, and both actors have to say, like, so if you're, like, the Bill, like, is it okay if I touch you here? And you say yes, and like, is it okay if I touch you here? It's really basically, you go over the whole body, and there might be like an area, like, you might be like, actually, I prefer you didn't touch me, like, too close to my crotch or whatever. And so you go through and you kind of eliminate some of the issues that just don't get spoken about, because we just assume it's fine to just kind of go for it.
It is mind-boggling that has to be a thing.
Yeah.
And I'm even more astounded that we never thought to do that before.
But it's I remember when she said it, when she was like, we have a coach for all these other things. Why don't we do that in sex? Like, it's probably the most vulnerable, and like, you have, the fight, you can physically get hurt, the dance, you can physically get hurt, but with sex stuff, you can emotionally get hurt, and you can physically get hurt if it's like a choreographed, it's a rape scene.
Also, it's not taking any backstory, and something might have happened the day before, or that morning, or like, historically wise, you might have had something happen, and everything, like, things trigger at different points, and depending on touch and things like that. I think it's really important to navigate that.
Totally, and I also think from a different point of view as well, for me, that workshop made me go, oh my goodness, I've been a terrible actor in so many ways, because I didn't think about how does my character have sex, like, what is their, how do they do it, because it's not the same as
It's an awkward start, normally in rehearsal, and kind of make it work and you forcing yourself the whole time.
But then if you also, when you do this and you literally choreograph, I mean, it's literally moment by moment, as in you don't do anything that isn't part of the choreography as well. So you know exactly, so you're telling a very prescriptive story rather than just kind of...
I think at the very beginning we didn't take your top off. Like, I remember you weren't comfortable with that, so we just said people. I think it helps having a female director. Because I would never force you to do anything.
But that's a whole nother relationship. I mean, now you have to think about who to include in that type of class, because that could be the costumer, the makeup artist. All these people now have to be mindful of touch and intimacy. I wouldn't even have thought that, but then that opens up who should come to this class, because then it opens up the conversation of just touch. And from the director, if say it's a nude scene, normally in theater, we normally do games. And I remember being a part of a play where it was about baseball, and I can't remember the name of the play, but there were nude scenes in the play. And he did Zip Zap Pow. And when you get out, you had to take off a layer of clothing. And I'm comfortable with my body. But I remember being 23 and feeling very uncomfortable that this was a game. And as the stage manager, I could have just opted to be out of it. But I didn't want to make everybody else uncomfortable. And I'm sitting there watching them zip zap and powering. But after taking that class, you took the class?
Yes. Yeah.
So after taking the class, how do you now go into rehearsals differently?
With a lot more awareness, and I think also with a lot more confidence to say, I think firstly in auditions, you can always ask, okay, so I've read the script, there's a sex scene, how are we doing that?
Instead of waiting till you get to that page. Okay.
And I think it's really important I think the thing that I have come away from is kind of like more of a confidence to be like, it's okay to just ask, and also it's okay to kind of, to say I'm uncomfortable with this, or
and not feel difficult.
Yeah, or
and I think that's what the Me Too movement has done. It's made these conversations easier.
Whereas, and I think also the taking away the stigma of the pressure of thinking that you're not going to get the job if you don't adhere to what they're asking you to do, strip now.
Because it's I suppose in that situation, you'd be seen as difficult when we shouldn't be, and that's what we need to eradicate. Just because I don't want to take my top off doesn't mean that I'm really difficult to work with.
But I also, I also think it's hugely important as well to be, I think, to share stories, to be speaking about stuff. Like, I had something happen to me with a director that was horrible, and actually the more I kind of spoke about it, the better it becomes, and also it makes other people aware, and that guy doesn't really get hired anymore, because he shouldn't be hired at all. It's but also because I remember when it first happened, I was like, oh, I don't want anything bad to happen, because then my mouth, my name will be like bad mouths, and I'm going to get jobs, and but it's like actually it's
the exact opposite.
And it needs to be said, because also I don't want that happening.
When I say this is uncomfortable, I'm not doing this anymore.
The Artist Exchange Radio Show every Friday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m., every Saturday, 12 p.m. to 2 p.m. Real artist, real talk, real live on BeExposedRadio.com.
I was meeting with a friend yesterday, and I've gotten to the point where don't ask me a question because the truth is going to come out. And
exactly.
Just don't do it.
If you ain't looking for the truth, don't come to me.
Don't do it because I can't hold my tongue. And she wants to be this stylist, boutique, but you're not doing anything in that nature, and I can't take you seriously if you're not doing those things. And I understood why people didn't take me seriously, because I found myself in somebody else's lane. I was good at what I was doing and what I wanted to be, but I wasn't doing it for me. So how can I ask you to take me seriously if I'm living in somebody else's shoes?
And nobody can do what you do, and I think that that's a big problem that people face now, like you see what somebody else is doing and you want to do that when that's not your lane.
That's not your lane.
That's not what you're supposed to be doing.
But it's popular. It's getting that person money. It's getting that person applause. Oh, I want applause.
Right.
I want money. Let me stand over here behind them.
And then a lot of times people aren't honest with themselves either. Like I was thinking earlier today, I've been woke for almost 2 days, so so you get honesty, yes. And I was thinking, like, you know,
The Artist Exchange Radio Show.
Like keys only have this bitch jumping.
Okay. If I sit around, hold up. Look. If I sit around, hold up. Yeah. Rebel rap. If I sit around, I'ma smoke some more. Wasn't even thinking about smoke before, but I'm in my head and I'm in the bed. Don't know who I am, like I'm wearing a mask. Working mode, time with a cat.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
To be honest and open about things that they're uncomfortable about. Now, how do we now start that conversation at the top of the rehearsal saying, okay, I know this new scene is coming, or we have to kiss or touch, but I'm not comfortable. So are we supposed to disclose that information, or how do you think we should go about talking about it?
I think that it's important to talk about it in the top of rehearsals. I think you need to set the rules. There has to be specific parameters that you work within. And that's with any job.
Should the director lead that, or should the actors feel comfortable initiating?
Maybe it's a mutual thing. Like I think that it's something, a dialogue that has to happen. Like I think during this play we just kind of navigated as we went along because we were changing stuff all the time. We're just navigating it because we had the big
well, not the second time around, but the first time we did it, we were lucky in that the original actor, I knew him, I worked with him a million times before, so we both just very comfortable with each other.
And then the second time we did it, we ran out of time in rehearsals. And you were very comfortable.
I've always been very comfortable, and I think
you were comfortable.
I was very comfortable, and that kind of thing doesn't really bother me so much, but I know that's not true of everyone. One thing I've also had, this wasn't actually to do with intimacy, but it was to do with sort of safety in general and into politics within a rehearsal room. Was that I had a mediator once as part of the rehearsal process, who was sort of an outside figure who wasn't really involved in the artistic elements of it. They were just sort of a safe person that you could go and talk to if there was something going on in the rehearsal room that you weren't happy about, and go anonymously, and they could talk to the director anonymously and say, look, there's been certain things going on. And that was a really helpful presence to have as part of the process, because you didn't have that thing that you were worried you were going to get bad mouth. And also afterwards, because you can keep it anonymous, but also they can just be someone else who can be on your side and help you talk it through. And because obviously, like, as an actor, you're partisan to trying to create the best piece of art, and the same is true of a director, and the director might have a particular vision in their mind, and if there's something involved in that you're not comfortable with, it can be hard for them to give it up. Whereas if you have an outside voice who says, look, no, this isn't right, and can just put their, like...
You don't want to break up because you're around these people for a certain amount of weeks or months, and you don't want to make it uncomfortable for everybody and making it seem like you're the cast out or you're pointing fingers. So it's easy to be chastised when you're in that situation and be the blame or the problem, rather. Can we talk more about your character and how you connected with her?
So my character is Emma, and for me it was a very easy connection because it had come from a story like Kat and Will and I had conversations. I had a personal experience with something similar, and I have a lot of friends who have gone through the same thing, or different but similar situations. And I think connecting with her is, for me, it's really easy because I feel like there's so much of my, in terms of the way she's written as well, actually, there's so much of her, on the lighter side, her quirkiness, her fun, like her kind of awkwardness, or she says stupid things, like there's bits that kind of are my into Emma. And then on the kind of the emotional side, I fully relate to her story. I mean, she basically has a lot of monologue. Well, she has two big monologues, one of which she's really trying to remember this. So the play basically has at the beginning kind of a drunken night out, and then she ends up at this guy's house, but she is zero recollection. She's so drunk, and she wakes up knowing that she's had sex because she can feel it, but she doesn't remember anything. And it's that fear of, did I do something? Is this my fault? Did I probably led him on? I was probably, doing this, I was doing that, I probably, it's all the kind of fear and the shame that you can put on yourself, and the questions of that aftermath and the awful aftermath of drinking and sort of, So, connecting to her is easy.
And in our conversations outside of here, I was told that you kind of brought this writing prompt to the writer and director. And what was going on that this was something that was on your mind or on your heart to kind of want to be a part of, or even be in front of being seen?
I think it's purely, I just think it is the most important thing that we start, that this conversation is being had. And the other day, performing for a bunch of college students was my favourite performance we've ever done, because kids need to know. If I had seen something like this, maybe I would have thought about, obviously people, when you're young, you're going to go out, you're going to make mistakes, you're going to get drunk.
You're on a
and you're going to do it again and again and again. But at least if you've seen that, you have it in your mind and you know that it's okay to ask at certain points as well. I think that's but also to be aware, and I do think a massive part of the play as well, it is about alcohol awareness, and it is about being aware that if you're, Emma in her situation as well is feeling quite fragile that night, and she goes and she carries on drinking, gets drunker and drunker, and I think sometimes when you're in a bad state, if you keep drinking, it kind of ends up in a really messy.
And understanding, because now the idea of non-verbal cues are a part of the conversation now. And that means paying attention to the person that you may be picking up or on a date with. Like, what are they not saying that I can see in them? Are they wanting this, or are they wanting something else? Like, so being a part of that and not just, catching a quick nut from that moment, and really understanding what would happen if this wasn't consensual, or on either side.
I also feel, I really do, and again, this is part of the reason for wanting the play to be so two-sided, but I really feel for the guy in the situation. I mean, it is totally possible that when you're blackout drunk, you're completely functional. So you might be saying, kiss me, or trying to kiss them, or do whatever. And so this is why I think it's a fascinating topic, because I think for guys as well, it's great, it's good awareness for both girls and guys, that even when people are, if they're pissed, like sometimes they're just mentally not there.
Right.
And I think that's a really important thing to be aware of.
Right. Just don't go through with it.
Yeah.
If you have any questions.
If there's a doubt, if they're single, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah, and I think that it mirrors what we were saying before about the rehearsal room and checking in. I think it's really important to be aware when you're younger that it's okay to say to somebody, can you slow down? Or, it's
well,
okay.
just
It's
know.
okay as a man to say to a woman, it's okay. It's okay for a man to say, I don't want to. Will and I were talking about that there is a stigma as well, that for men it's actually it's quite, what you say, it's hard for guys to actually say.
I mean, I don't think it's as hard as it is for women, but there is definitely a stigma that when you're in a sexual situation that people assume that the man just wants to have sex, and regardless of the scenario.
Right.
And often, I've definitely gone through with it before where I've not particularly wanted to, but mainly just to conserve the other person's feelings, because you don't want to. If that assumption exists already that a man in that situation will want to have sex, then if you say no for some reason, then it can often hurt the other person's feeling, but it's because they feel like there's a reason and that they might be part of the reason or something like that. There's a million different reasons why you might not want to.
Like one of the biggest compliments for a girl is when a woman gets a hard on. Like it is because they find you so sexually attractive. If that doesn't happen, this is another play. But this is it's important for us to know that that's not always the case.
Because you can wake up with one. And
Exactly.
I'm not attracted to my mattress. It's just human nature. But can each of you give me, all three of you rather, give me a line from the play that kind of sums it up for people, like a line that maybe stick out to you the most?
I think one of the most important, well, I think for two things, it's whenever you realise she was drunk when you were having a conversation with Charlie, and it's the police situation, and you say she couldn't remember her own dress. How did I think we were at the same level of drunkenness? And then there's another one as the police officer actually, and you said, so was this? It's the first time it's said, so was this a consensual act or something? I don't know the names. I don't know what I'm doing, something along that.
You know the gist.
Yes. Well, it's actually the response to that question, which it comes at the end of the speech that follows from that. In sort of convincing way, he's basically, there's a monologue about how he feels that the legal system is set up against him in this situation, that once an accusation happens, your life's ruined regardless of the content of what happens afterwards and whether charges are pressed. Yes, and at the end of it he says, I know what we felt. And then takes a moment and sort of takes stock of it and realises that, well, he knows what he felt, but he didn't know what she felt in that situation. So he sort of says, I'm doubting myself now, is that what she felt? And I think that sort of sums up, I mean, from the male perspective, I think that's one of the most important lines of the piece, because you've got to realise that in those situations, you don't know what the other person is thinking, and if you're just making wholesale assumptions when your judgment is impaired, you could very easily misread the situation. So if you're ever in those situations and there isn't even an iota of doubt in your mind, just leave it. Right? It's not the end of the world if you don't sleep together that evening. You can sleep together the next day if you want to, or never at all. It doesn't really matter. It's not the end of the world. I suppose that would be my thing. I sort of ran a little bit around it.
I kind of have two. In terms of my personality and my character, experience. And
Driving has a rhythm all its own. Don't wreck it with a text. Before you get behind the wheel, silence your phone. Or better yet, designate a texter. For more text-free driving tips, visit stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
Green light. Hey girl, school zone. I'm getting hungry. Car changing lanes. You want to meet me for pizza? Stop sign. Intersection clear. Yeah, street. Pizza sounds good. Ballin Street? Girlin Street!
It's hard to concentrate on two things at once, like texting and driving. Stop the text, stop the wrecks. How will you stop texting and driving? Tell us at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
This is a Poverty ENT exclusive. Next stop, Texaco.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back to the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Kind of switched it up a little bit. So the clip that you just watched, I actually recorded that maybe a year ago, and that's kind of like the rough cut. I'll be uploading that a little bit later. We have some clips from the actual show. Those were two actors and the writer and director of a piece. They're actually from the UK and Ireland, and they came over here last summer in conjunction with the Center Stage Theater here in Baltimore, and we actually produced at the Peel Center one night of their show called Consent. So I'm gonna talk about that a little bit later, but getting back to our self-care, and literally while the video was playing, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he's younger than I am and going through some health issues, and it's really important that we really focus on our whole body, mind, and soul health. And it sounds really cheesy, it sounds really off the beaten path, but for me it's a necessity now, because after a certain age, you start feeling things a certain way, and I'm starting to notice things that weren't possible. Like, you could go all night, you could like not sleep and wake up early the next morning with an hour of sleep. And if I do that right now, my eyes gonna be dry, I'm gonna be groggy, I'm gonna wind up just falling asleep somewhere, and I just don't want that. Like, it's not something that I want to happen right now, but I'm trying to like push back the clock a little bit and just focus on the things that I can control, like diet, sleep, the power of no. And it's really difficult when you are pursuing something to say no to people, because you want to reap every benefit, every opportunity, but it's really difficult to push forward when your body is physically shutting down. And your body will tell you, and it will talk to you, and it will give you warning signs, like you will doze off and maybe pop back up and fully refreshed, and that's a warning. And if you keep pushing yourself that day, you may just fall asleep behind a wheel. We hear it in the news all the time, someone just fell asleep behind the wheel trying to push themselves. I have a friend who travels from Maryland to New Jersey a lot, and she's always on the road. She travels a lot for her work, and I constantly worry about her because it's so easy. I've been behind a wheel and gotten drowsy. I just know to pull over and go to sleep and take that nap and take that L of being late for something, but it's not worth your health. It's not worth your physical health. It's not worth the quality of who you are and what you're producing to go down, because you can't say no, or you don't know how to say no or when to say no. But number 5, so we went through the first 4, and they basically dealt with sleep and eating and being physically prepared and fit. But number 5, say no to others and say yes to your self-care. Learning to say no is really hard. Many of us feel obligated being the word, to say yes when someone asks us for our time or energy. However, if you are already stressed or overworked, say yes to loved ones or co-workers can lead to burnout, anxiety, or irritability. It may take a little practice, but once you learn how to politely say no, you'll start to feel more empowered and you'll have more time for your self-care. This weekend, I had started saying no a little bit, so I'll, call where I was working at and say, well, I need somebody to replace me today. I'm not feeling up to it. And thankfully they understood, but this weekend I tried to push beyond saying no, because I had said no all week long. So I was like, I can't say no today. But that cost me, because I had to do a hard stop. And I've done hard stops in life because sometimes the stress level gets to be too much. And I'm a person that keeps my stress on the inside. So most times you won't even know that I'm upset or angry or stressed or mad or anything, because I've learned how to, live with it and just live in it. And I know healthy ways to do it, but often even doing that can be detrimental because you're not saying no. you're showing people know which message with your integrity and the quality of what you're producing, but it doesn't necessarily help you in the long run. So number 5 is learning to say no and choosing you sometimes. And that's hard when you're building and you're building a business or career or artistry, but you got to learn how to say no. Number 6 is take a self-care trip. I remember all throughout my 20s, that was what I focused on. And I actually have a cousin, we're born on the same day. She's now in her 30s doing what I was doing in my 20s. And we actually she came to visit me in the hospital, and we talked about it. And that's one of her self-care options. She takes trips, she travels, she loves to eat in new places and find new meals. And that's something that she does, and she plans that throughout the year. And maybe once a month or every other month or so, she's traveling somewhere. And I remember what that felt like, and I'm ready to get back to that. And I'm trying to plan in my life moments where that is possible. Taking a self-care trip can make a huge difference in your life. Even if you're not feeling particularly stressed, getting away for a weekend every now and then can help you disconnect, relax, and be rejuvenated. These self-care tips don't have to be costly. Simply drive to the next town over, or see the sights, or go camping nearby. The goal is to veer away from your normal routine and schedule, and take the time to do something just for yourself. For me, I have a buddy, Missy Lane. Me and Missy Lane, at least maybe once or twice a year, we go take a day trip to New York. And we take a couple dollars with us. We got enough money to eat with, maybe go see a show. And her and I are crafting artists. So I make jewelry, she's crafting a lot, and we buy supplies. We find some inexpensive supplies, and we just make it a day. And we literally leave early that morning, we come back late that night. And that kind of rejuvenates us. Sometimes we need a day after the trip to get ourselves together from walking around New York, but it's a day that, we're spending it doing something that we really love to do, and we're getting away from our natural routine. And we try to do that as often as we can, but we really do it maybe like once or twice a year. And we actually did it once this year already, and I'm ready, probably in the fall time, we're gonna do it again. For me, because I live here in Baltimore, it's easy for me to get to New York, to Philly, to DC, to Virginia. It's very easy for us to get those places, and it's not very cost effective. I'm not really a bus trip person, maybe a drive or a train, but it doesn't have to be costly. You can plan for those things. And then staycations. There are plenty of sites now that offer really affordable rates to stay at hotels, and you just go on there, book a weekend or 2 nights or whatever. And then Airbnb is another option as well. They have some really cost-effective ways to kind of just take the weekend to yourself. And here in Baltimore, we have a few new ones that are popping up where you can spend a night or two or the weekend on a boat. And they have actual small yachts that they have docked here around our harbor area, where you can stay a couple nights if you want to on the boat, and it's very cost effective. I think 3 nights could run you anywhere between $120 to maybe $300 total for a weekend. And that's something you can plan for. But take trips, staycations, and you don't have to be in your house. I really suggest, or you and a friend, maybe go visit a friend that maybe has their own home in another city and just spend a weekend. That's really cost effective, but it helps you to kind of get yourself back to a norm and just rejuvenate. Number 8, let a pet help you with your self-care. Pets can bring a boost to our lives, from giving unconditional love to providing companionship. Pets can be hugely beneficial for our self-care. Dogs especially can help reduce stress and feelings of anxiety, and can even lower blood pressure. In fact, many people who suffer from disorders like PTSD have benefited from working daily with animals, which is why service dogs have become so helpful to these individuals. Now, I can't vouch for this when I'm not an animal person. As a child, I loved animals, but I get just as much benefit as going to a zoo or to a aquarium. So if you're an animal person, try, having if you under a lot of stress, try having a animal that can kind of soothe that. But be respectful of your time. Once again, this is one of the things that we take on to kind of help ourselves, but we don't know the work that goes into it. So a dog is a lot of work. A cat, not as much, as a more cleaning that is into, but it's, again, if you don't have time, or if you travel a lot for work, or you're on the go, you're not in the house all day, bringing on a service animal may not be the best solution for you. Number 10, cook at home to care for yourself. This is one of the things that, for me, being single, newly single, has been difficult for me lately, because I was used to having, to cook for somebody else, or having time and making time to do those things. But when you're single, it's really, you really find it easier to just grab something on the way home or grab a bite. But again, I spoke to my nutritionist over the last week, and that was one of the things that she kind of drove home. Make time throughout the month and schedule times to eat out, but really dig into finding moments to fix meals. Like, maybe you cook breakfast in the morning and you make yourself lunch, and then you get to eat out for dinner, or cook dinner and eat breakfast out and make lunch or something. Like, find time, and it really helps your budget too. It's much easier not to be spending. Like last week, because of Baltimore Fashion Week, we did a number of events each day. So Monday we had a movie night, so that meant going out to dinner afterwards. So we went to Excess on Monday. On Tuesday we had a luncheon with Jenna Blah from Elle Magazine, and we ended up hosting that at Fogo de Chao. So that's eating all that, and I did really well. I didn't eat any of the meat. I kept my ticket on the red side, so they never stopped at me. But it was like eating at the buffet. You still can have a lot of options there. So I figured out how to do it, but we were eating out each night, or hosting an event that had food in it each night. But I figured out how to not stuff myself. It was really helpful that my tonsils were flaring up, so I could not eat everything. But it really, I'm thankful for that. But yeah, finding moments to just budget your time, and finding times to cook at home. Like, which one of your meals is the most important to you, and try to cook that one at home. And then maybe lunch you can grab something. But throughout the day, your breakfast is supposed to be a nice balanced breakfast. Your lunch is normally your largest meal sometimes, and then your dinner is smaller. And some people, your breakfast is big and then it gets smaller as you go along. But I like to eat a bigger lunch, because often I don't eat. If I do eat in the morning, it's just a quick bite or something, and it tides me over till dinner, so I'm not hungry. But yeah, just find moments to cook at home, or bring a lunch into work. Number 11, read a book on self-care for self-care. It's hard for me to say yes to this, because I'm a self-care book guru. Like, one of my favorite is Ian Van Zant. But find an author or two that really you feel is genuine, because a lot of these books, they kind of regurgitate the same information, but a lot of it isn't practical to everyday life. It's really benefiting somebody who has the time and money to do a lot of the things that they suggest. But I say reading in general can be soothing and calming. But if you want to go the self-care route, find and research. Most authors are now have digital platforms, meaning they go live, or they have social media pages, so you can look through and see who they are. Some of these people are just fly-by-night, one-hitters, but a lot of them, like Iyanla, have built a career on it, and she has a little bit more legitimacy. So I gravitate towards people. I listen to a lot, but I don't really take in a lot. That's a big self-care tip too, not focusing too much. So we have one more minute. I'm going to go to number 12, and then we're going to go to a quick break and be back for our last segment. So number 12 is schedule your self-care time and guard that time with everything you have. It can be hard for us all to find extra time, but it is extremely important to plan regular self-care time. Moments alone can help you to ponder the best ways to move forward in your life and keep you grounded. And moments with friends can help you feel more connected and relaxed. Whether you decide you want to go for a long walk or take a hot bath or enjoy a good movie with friends, taking self-care time is imperative. Look for small ways you can incorporate it into your everyday life. For example, you might wake up 15 minutes earlier to sit with a cup of tea and practice deep breathing beyond the chaos of your day before your day begins. Or you might take a walk around the block on your lunch break. The more you can work self-care into your schedule, the better you're able to grow, enjoy your life, and thrive. So I'll go over those last few ones when we go back. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be back for the last segment on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, only on BeExposedRadio.com. We'll be right back. Y'all.
Like the one thing you always gotta remember is people gonna try to project their insecurities onto you. But you can't listen to what them niggas saying. You gotta get out here and do your shit regardless. You gonna do what you love for the rest of your life anyway. So why not turn that shit into something? Be a man of everything you say. This shit bigger than me, man. Like yeah, I'm good and all that, but you know what I mean? I ain't shit without y'all. So no matter what you up to, you gotta go hard. Don't matter. Can you imagine how I really having nothing is? Stomach growling, you ain't got no food in the fridge. Surviving on a jail diet of water and bread. No father figure, that's cause my father dead. Mom bringing different niggas in and out the crib. No money, so you seen it's less than all your friends. But it a joke because your mother was a crackhead. Older sister hoeing off, giving all the homies head. I could wait for your response, but they...
Only in the forest can you see this. But nothing beats the moment you see that. Cool! That's your child's eyes opening up to a world of possibilities.
There are some moments only the forest can inspire. Find yours at discovertheforest.org. Learn about forests near you and discover cool things to do when you go. And you might just see this. Visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Join the Just a Bit Outside crew every Monday, 8 to 10 p.m. on BeExposedRadio.com.
You want to start off?
I think I'll get it out of the way on a who's not.
Okay, do it.
The Orioles.
Right.
They got swept by the Royals. They lost 4 in a row, and the last 5 games have all been decided by 1 run.
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com. You are listening to BeExposedRadio.com.
Welcome back. This is the last segment for the Artist Exchange Radio Show today. We'll be back this Friday. Again, Brother Noah won't be joining us for the next couple shows. He has a show that he's actually in. If you didn't know, Brother Noah is a phenomenal young actor. So we'll be actually reporting live from one of his shows. So actually, the 18th is the last day, so get your tickets now. Rapid Lemon Productions at Theater Project. They're doing a play called Crusade, so definitely check them out. I'll be posting the flyer on our page after the show today. Today, our topic was on self-care, practicing self-care. The last 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, were on more time management. kind of getting your schedule in line so you can make time for yourself and make time to get yourself in order. And the last one actually dealt with, let me click back over to it. Number 12 was just scheduling your self-care time and finding those ways to guard your time. If you know, like for me, I know Sundays is a day that I've always struggled with since I became a working adult. Even as a teenager working, Sundays were always a time that I fought to be able to choose whether I worked or not, because church is really important to me, and just that foundation and being in a building once a week is like rejuvenating to me. And most job places don't care about that. And I've made a conscious decision now to delegate my time, whereas Sundays is always off the plate unless I choose to. But figuring out how to dedicate that time is simply as like getting up maybe 15 minutes early. And I do this a lot during the Lent season, where I get up extra early and I do something towards one of my goals. And I make that time, whether it be making jewelry or making my schedule. It really needs to be sometime eating, because I work in a school system, so I normally have to be to school by 7:30, 7:45, which means I got to get up a lot earlier to get ready. And it is very important, like this school year, I'm gonna really make a bigger effort to eat, because going into a classroom with children and you're not eating, you're drained. You're going to drain them because they come in and drain, and you're drained, and it's not going to be the best situation. And you normally don't perk up until like class number 2 or 3, which is not good, because then the first 2 classes ain't got your best. And I've always wanted to be one of them upbeat teachers, and I ain't a morning person. So figuring that out and just making extra time, whether it be getting up an extra half an hour. And sometimes it's hard, but that extra half an hour will mean a difference, because then you're not rushing, you're not panicked, you do have time to get a bite to eat, and you're off on time, so you're not rushed and you're not sluggish first thing in the morning. But today it just meant a lot for me to really do this, and I'm gonna probably introduce this a lot, probably starting next week too. We're gonna do kind of a self-care moment on each show, so we'll be back next week. We'll have an entrepreneur with us next week. Mondays again are dedicated to entrepreneurs and business owners, and kind of helping you to not only promote yourself, but kind of sell your story. What is your story, and you building yourself. So if you want to be a guest on the Artist Exchange Radio Show, definitely hit me up. The Artist Exchange Radio Show at gmail.com. If you're looking to build a new show, if you have a new show idea, you have one that you want to bring to our station, hit me up. Shout out to Sharon Nixon, the whole team at Baltimore Fashion Week. Had an awesome time. We ran into an old friend of Be Exposed Radio. Lady O had a phenomenal food. Oh, her cooking was so good. And we'll be actually helping her in September. We'll be joining her as she opens her new business off of Pratt Street over there by Westside Shopping Center. Actually, well, I think that's Montclair Junction Shopping Center. I'm sorry. So look out for that. Also, I'll be doing a number of events. So the clip that we watched was on consent. That we watched at the top of this second hour was on consent. It is a workshop that I do to help kind of build a better relationship between people and workplace environments. We've been hearing a lot of the Me Too. It's kind of dying down a little bit, but every now and again it'll spike again. So I have a workshop that is geared towards workplace environments, artists, entrepreneurs, small business owners, to help us to facilitate that conversation. Because normally in bigger businesses, they normally have an HR person that does that as part of your intro or as a refresher throughout the year. But with small business, we don't normally think about that, and then when something happens, you can lose your business or your livelihood like that. So we'll be hosting a number of those workshops in the fall. Also, the Artist Exchange will be doing some live interviews. So I have a number of people that I am going to interview between now and the end of the year. And I'm looking for maybe like 5 more people, and the series is called Be More Light. It is sponsored by the Peel Center. I got a micro grant last year to be able to do this, and I've been interviewing a number of people each month, and I have 20 interviews to be able to do. So I'll be finished by the end of the year. So if I reach out to you, hit me back if you want to be on that roster. Be More Light, and it's dedicated to people who really shine a light, a positive light on Baltimore, not just kind of overcasting what's really going on, but people who are adding to the narrative and not making it worse. So look out for that series. It'll be up soon, and that's being sponsored by the Field Center as well. And I think that's it for today. So this has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show. BeExposedRadio.com. Join us this Friday at the same time, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The next show up will be on Wednesday, and that will be Living a Rich Life radio show. So Tuesday. It's Tuesday? Oh, and Marnie's coming back tomorrow. Didn't know that, but Marnie's coming back tomorrow. So look forward to that. Tomorrow at 7 p.m. So this has been the Artist Exchange Radio Show. Again, I'm your host, Nick Couser. See you later. Peace out.
Are you thinking about getting your GED diploma? Well, here at the GED Pep Talk Center, we've got a number of pep talks that can motivate you.
Sometimes things don't always turn out the way you want them to.
You know that feeling? People look at you and don't believe in you.
You want